Well, hello and welcome. I don't know if it's morning or afternoon or evening or nighttime at the time that you are watching this program, but we welcome you and we are very excited to have you here with us today. I love the smiling faces. So if you're not smiling, please smile. Thanks, Jenny. Everybody, you're tuning in to Ask Vet Live today. So I'm excited to see new names, new faces, as I know that so many of us spend more money on our fur babies than we do on ourselves. But we need to not forget who's taking care of those fur babies. But I'm so excited that we're able to offer the show. And this is by popular demand. I've had so many people asking pet questions that I'm like, well, why not just have a show with pet questions asking, I don't know, any other individual, man, researcher, veterinarian that has done as much research, not just in his own community, but around the world on animals and how the different environmental things, whether it's their food, whether it's the air, whether it's, I don't know, how many different things, Dr. Wallach, can affect human animal life. Sorry.
Don't forget competitors.
I'm sorry?
Competitors.
Competitors.
For food, for space.
That's right. That's right. I mean, there's this whole circle of life, and whenever there's an interruption in that circle of life, especially when it comes to nutrients, because they're not all equal in the ground that the food is grown in, we're going to have changes in how our genes are expressed. And my name is Rebecca Dukes Kozak. I am so excited to be the host of today's program, Ask Vet Live. I am joined with my lovely co-hosts, Ruth Ellen Sanchez, Dr. Judy Reynolds, and Heather Bowen. And if you're on live with us, make sure that you have that chat on. If you don't know where to find the chat, go to the Zoom menu and click on chat. You'll be able to see all of the information that they will be sharing in the chat with us today in regards to how products are named, how they're spelled, different things that Dr. Wallach is going to be mentioning, because he does speak pretty fast. Tell you what, he's hard to keep up with. So we want to make sure that you're getting all the information, and you can also go to our website, yes, askvetlive.com, and you will find the replay of today's program. And we've actually put all the Ask Doc Live program replays on there as well. So we have lots of questions coming in through email, through text message, through chat here today with us already. So thank you everyone for bringing those questions. And again, I don't know a better person to be able to host on a show like this. The gentleman that we have with us today, and many of you know him, you've heard about him, but his very first publication was back in 1965 when he was a veterinary student. And there was a farmer that lost a ton of lambs, like 500 lambs. And while everybody else was on vacation, he was put in charge of this research program that was just the beginning of the greatness that he has been able to do. Now, as a veterinarian, Dr. Wallach's career has taken him to zoos and wildlife areas around the world, treating rhesus monkeys, lambs, green iguanas, rabbits, guinea pigs, white rhinos, black rhinos, wildebeest, alligators, gorillas, elephants, giraffes, camels, other primates, waterfowl, game birds, exotic birds, kangaroos, ibex, goldfish. What's a pinniped, Dr. Wallach? Pinniped
Oh,
or a goonown? I
learned
mean,
something
these
about,
are things that you have written research papers on over the years. And
okay.
he's also done research with manatees, folks. Manatees they look to be nice and calm and just chill out pets. Not pets,
A
but
manatee
animals.
is hardly a pet. Yeah.
But it would be
It's a
more,
water, it's
you
a
know,
water mammal. It's a water
yes, a
mammal.
water mammal. But all of your research, Dr. Wallach, has led to a national treasure. That national treasure being the diseases of exotic animals, medical and surgical management. That was published in 1983 and is today held in the Smithsonian as a national treasure. Now, Dr. Wallach, when this book first came out, what was there, 90,000 published and
Yeah,
sold for
yeah. The first
25?
publication, yeah, they published 90,000 at first and sold like in 90 days. And they were selling at $25,000 each. And
Wow.
it represented a 10-year study. And I did 20,000 autopsies, 17,000 some change of over 454 species of animals and 3,000 humans. And it was very revealing information. And what it revealed was it didn't matter if you were an odad, which is kind of like a wild goat, or an elephant, or lion, tiger, or bear. You could all have arthritis. You could all have congestive heart failure. You could all have asthma. You could all have psoriasis. You could all have arthritis. You could also all have appendicitis and so forth. It didn't matter if you were a reptile or a mammal or a fish, a bird. It didn't matter. If you had the organ, if you had intestines, you could all get the same problems. And so these are the sort of things that were very revealing. And the grant was a $25 million grant. It was gotten when I was off in Africa working on the white rhino conservation project. Marlon Perkins and Barry Cometer, the head of the Department of Biology, took my paper on the mass die-off, and those lambs were 500 died in one night. And I figured out that it was due to a pollution thing. And it was the first major publication on a pollution mass die-off in America. Okay. And they took that and got this $25 million grant from NIH. And the whole idea was to find animal species in zoos and wild animal parks that were sensitive to pollution. And we're going to use them as the equivalent of the canary in the mine. The old coal miners for hundreds of years, maybe thousands of years, had taken canaries down in the coal mines. And so if gases would come into the mine, the canaries would drop off the perch and die, and the men knew to get out to save themselves. And so that was the whole idea of doing all this pathology in zoos. We were looking for animals in zoos in the big cities around the world that were sensitive to the same pollutants that humans were. And if these animals were to get sick or die, the population would know to get up and get out. And so that was the whole idea of that study. And it blew their minds when the data started coming in. And of course, it was a big project, and it lasted 10 years. And we're actually having it reprinted right now as we speak. I think because of technology and everything, it'll be a little cheaper now, maybe much cheaper than $25,000 each. You can get them sort of beat up, used online for $1,300, $1,500, $2,000. A lot of, bent pages and cover ripped off and all this kind of stuff. And then in fair condition, you can get them for $5,000, $8,000. In good condition, you get them from $6,000 to $10,000. But after that, it gets up in there into the big cost. And that was a hallmark study. It was a hallmark study, and I'm just blessed to be the one chosen to do that. And Marlon Perkins I had worked with him for many, many years, and he knew me. And when he got that paper on that mass die-off from pollution, he looked at that and he says, well, yeah, that'll be Wallach. Because I had worked with him for so many years at the St. Louis Zoo. Anything he wanted done, he would come to me and it got done. And so he knew that this was a very, very unique study. And he and Barry Commenter from Washington University, St. Louis, and Barnes Hospital, that whole team put that grant application together. They got it. And they called me back from Africa after 2 years of working there on the White Rhino Project. And by the way, back then, there was 300 white rhino in the Umflozi and Shislui game reserves in Natal, South Africa. Today, there's 21,000 because we set up wild animal parks to defend and protect the white rhino. So we were very successful, went from 300 to 21,000. So we're so grateful that all of that happened. And of course, the book is still sells. Kids love to read the story of Rhino Express. This is the story of those 2 years I spent in Africa doing the White Rhino Conservation Project. And of course, in the book, not only is it written material, but it's got pictorials so that you understand the process we're going through to catch 200 white rhino and ship them to the United States. It was not a simple project. We were using drugs that were 10,000 times more potent than morphine. That way we could get them into darts the size of a AAA battery, as opposed to darts the size of a flashlight. So we were changing everything because of those drugs. Etorphine, 10,000 times more potent than morphine. And it had an antidote you could give in the rhino's ear vein and wake them up when you want to wake them up. Okay, there you go. The dart, you see it's the size of a AAA battery. And the whole project we're learning as we're going along here and creating the answers to questions as we were going along. So it taught me a lot, and I had lots of help. And it was, I can't tell you how gracious I felt towards these teams of people who were out there risking their lives to save this one species of animals. So it was really a great deal.
Well, Dr. Wallach, I want to point out when people's like think about, capturing an animal and taking it out of its natural environment to save it. I've had people email in and it's like, well, what happens to the animals that are there? Or why are you taking them out of their natural environment to save them? But people don't realize during this whole process, you are creating reserves.
That's correct.
So share with us a little bit about what went into those preserves, what you were doing to reestablish an environment that would sustain the white rhino that had been dying off.
Okay, well, they weren't dying off. They were targeted by the native populations for their horns, which is supposed to be one of these drugs that helps your sexual things going, right? And so they would kill the rhino and just leave the body there for the vultures to eat and saw the horn off and sell it for a lot of money, like $1,000 an ounce. Okay. It's because it's supposed to be one of those drugs that helps you with your sexuality and so forth. And so that's, it was before all the drugs we have now. So that was the drug at the time for sexuality, was rhino horn. And and so we interrupted that process because there's only 300 left. And so we took them out of that environment so we could save them and protect them. And we about 5 years later, we began to put them back. But then by then we had the reserves that we had instituted and built, and they had all the South Africans had come up with all of the guys who were sort of like policemen for the reserves. Okay, they were there to protect the white rhino, but we didn't have all that when I first went there. I mean, I went there, I'm living out in the bush, there's nothing out there except rhinos and vultures and me. Okay. And so it was quite interesting. And I was shot at many times. Fortunately, never hit. But it was one of those things to understand the ecology and what was going on there, what it took. And what it took to catch a white rhino and keep it alive. We had to keep it alive for, I would say, 4 to 6 to 8 weeks in a box, because
In a
we had to put them
large
on a
box.
ship. We had to put them on a ship for 2 to 4 weeks. So they had to learn to live in that box continuously, and we'd clean up their manure out of the back end of the box. We'd feed them water and food from the front end of the box. And once they were comfortable with that and they were sleeping and not banging around in the box trying to get out, and they were quite comfortable with it, then we knew we could ship them to America to save them. Okay. And so that's why it took 2 years to save 200 of them, because it took anywhere from 6 to 8 weeks to train them to live and be comfortable in those boxes. And it shows you the pictures of those boxes in the book. Okay. And Rhino Express. There you go. And that's where those rhino had to live for 2 to 4 weeks on those ships going across the ocean. And they, they were comfortable with that. They were getting fed and watered. And so they were quite comfortable, probably getting more food than they had been when they're out on their own.
Well, I personally like windows in my box. If you ever put me in a box, Doc, okay? Give me
No,
windows.
we couldn't put windows in there because they would break the windows, or they would be scared and not feel comfortable. This way, they were in a dark a container. They could hear things, but they couldn't see anything. Okay. And after a while, once they were trained and they knew that's where they got fed, we could let them out into a corral, and we'd ring a bell and they'd go into their box. We'd shut the door behind them and then feed them. And so that's how the process went. And so it was kind of like ringing the bell for the dairy cows to come in, principle.
Gotcha. Wow. Well, I didn't finish my introduction, but folks, you are watching Ask Vet Live. And if you were invited by somebody specific, make sure that you get back with them with what you would like. So we have many hands up. I have many questions that have been texted in. We want to make sure that we get your answers. And yes, we will take human questions, but if we could save the human questions for the end as we focus on our fur babies today. So, Dr. Wallach, let's go ahead and go right into the first hand. Christy, go ahead and unmute yourself. It's your hand for a fur baby. Hello, Christy.
Oh, hello. I'm sorry. Thank you so much for taking this call and for all the work you do, Dr. Wallach. I have a question. I'm taking care of my sister's dog. He's a lovely dog. He's a senior dog. He's 15, and I am not giving him his pain meds, his grappaprant. It makes him moody and he falls all over the place. So I've been giving him white willow bark, but I heard that I kind of stopped on that because I heard that could give him ulcers. I'm going to get him maybe some CBD tincture. I don't know what else you suggest.
Okay. Well, is this because the pain, is it from arthritis?
What's the pain from? It's arthritis.
Okay. Well, here's what I would do. You say the dog is 15 years old. How much does it weigh? Is it a little dog?
He's going 14. He's going 14 going on 15. He weighs about 28, between 28 and 30 something pounds. He'd be a big dog if he had long legs. He's kind of stocky. He's a Sillyham Terrier and Shih Tzu and Beagle.
Okay, so it's a mixed breed.
Yeah,
and
he's very driven.
28 pounds. Okay, very mixed. Okay, 28 pounds. Okay, well, here's what I would do. I would get our MSM. Okay, and add it to the dog food. At 28 pounds, I'd give him 3 of those MSM tablets. You may have to grind them up and put them in the food, mix them in the food.
Gotcha.
Okay, and then also I would give him a scoop of the collagen peptides, which is cartilage and tendons and ligaments from fish, poultry, sheep, and beef. And that's going to help regrow cartilage and tendons and ligaments, even in a 15-year-old dog. Okay. I would also put in a couple of, say, 2 vitamin D3 tablets. And for pain, immediate pain, you could use our CM cream. Just put a couple of dabs of that on his hips or his stifles, which is our knees, or his feet, or his neck, or his shoulders, wherever he has pain. Just put a couple of dabs of our CM cream on there, and it'll get a couple of hours of significant pain relief. But it won't take long. You'll see a couple of weeks, 2 to 4 weeks, all that collagen and peptides you're giving them, adding to them, is going to rebuild everything, even in a 15-year-old dog. Okay.
Yeah, he's kind of gets grumpy when you touch him. He's so in pain. So
yeah,
I can try that. Okay, that's probably. I don't think that drug is good for him. I'm not giving it to him, but she's away right now. Thank God. Yeah. Okay.
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 So it's
thank
a good,
you.
You bet. It's a good nutritional approach.
And
it works.
all those products are on your website?
I'm sorry?
Are all those products on your website? The collagen and the DG? Okay.
Okay.
Thank
Absolutely.
you. Okay.
Yeah, we have 600 programs. Wow. Okay. For health issues, including arthritis and osteoporosis. And we have 5,000 products. There's no reason why our pets can't use them just like we do.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you for your time. God bless you.
Bet.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Christy. And yes, if you go to, well, first, if you were invited to this program by somebody specific, get with them, because chances are they have a special website for you to order from. If you were not invited by anybody specific, you are welcome to go to our Ask Vet Live, and keep the program straight, askvetlive.com, and you will find the store there as well. Plus Dr. Wallach's books. We have a link there that takes you through his most popular books with a description and the ability to buy them through the website as well. Well, Dr. Wallach, let's go to the next hand that is up. And Tanya, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Thank you so much. And thank you, Dr. Wallach. I've been using longevity to help my animals for a while now. And I do have a testimonial first off, because my Joe got quite the gash on his forehead, and you can't even see it because I used Trinity cream on, and it was huge for keeping the flies off. And we did that with our cows with pink eye, because that was bad this year. And we used colloidal silver and Trinity cream to keep the flies off outside, and it was phenomenal. So greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Well, thank you for that testimony.
Oh, absolutely. So my question is, we have beef cattle, and my mom was asking me about milk fever. If a cow has milk fever, what can we do to prevent her from getting it again? Is there a way that we can prevent that?
Yeah, well, milk fever has to do with missing nutrients that are used to make milk. Okay. And so, for large animals like cattle, of course, we do have the Arthrodex. It's 1 scoop for small animals. It's 1 scoop for 20 pounds of body weight. But when you get into a beef cow, a dairy cow, it'd be, say, 1 scoop for 50 to 100 pounds. Depending on, if they're a Jersey or a Holstein, right? Okay. And so, I would go with that. And you're going to see remarkable results very, very quickly.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you.
You're very, very welcome.
Dr. Wallach, would you just sprinkle that over their hay, their grain?
Oh, the Arthrodex.
Put it in their water?
No, the Arthrodex is a powder. You're going to have to mix it in with the grain. You can't mix it in with the hay because it'll just filter out to the bottom, off to the floor. But when you mix it in with their grain, it'll, stay with it. Okay.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Wallach. Yeah, grain is usually in a feed bucket, so that makes it easier for them to lick the bottom up, because I know my animals love it. Even the rabbit loves the Arthrodex. Let's go to the next hand that is up. And Doug, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Got a question for you, Doc. I weigh 138 pounds. I'm 5 feet 6 inches tall. I'm 79 years old. My health concern is Becker's dystrophy.
Okay, now you have to tell me, what is Becker's dystrophy?
Muscular dystrophy, the adult form of Duchenne's.
Okay, so, okay, MD, muscular dystrophy, okay. In fact, that's one of the things I'm working on right now is, of course, I'm the first one to find the cystic fibrosis in an animal, in a Yerkes monkey in 1977. And then, of course, we were working on muscular dystrophy in animals after dealing with the cystic fibrosis and sudden death syndrome. And we have an enormous amount of experience in those things. So when you have muscular dystrophy, regardless of your age, 138 pounds, I would take 2 healthy brain and heart packs per month, 2 healthy brain and heart packs per month, full dose everything twice a day. Get 2 bottles of MSM so you can take 3 at breakfast, 3 at lunch or dinner time. They're going to rebuild cartilage, ligaments, tendons, connective tissue, discs between a vertebrae, bone, makes your bone itself. Put a scoop of the collagen peptides in your morning drink, a scoop of the collagen peptides in your evening drink. Take a scoop in your morning drink, a scoop in your evening drink of the Beyond Osteo FX. I do that. It's a powder. You can put it in the drink very easily. Take vitamin D3, 3 of those twice a day. And if you have pain in your joints, go ahead and use the CM cream topically. And even at your age, you're going to have a rapid rebuilding of your joints. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, thank you, Doug.
Yeah, Doug was a primate.
Well, Dr. Wallach, I prefer human over primate, and we're all mammals, right?
That's correct.
There we go. All right.
There's a few snakes in the bunch, but you know.
This is true. Dr. Wallach, I want to go to a question that was emailed in, and this is emailed in yesterday by Joe, and I think Joe is on the line with us today. Yes, Joe, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Hi there. I have 3 pup questions. I'll be quick. One of them is for a friend. She has an 11-year-old Chinese crested powder puff, male dog. He has a sarcoma tumor on his spleen. He's been given 3 to 6 months to live, and he is not eating. And that's all I know.
Okay. Well, you know, these are very serious situations. And of course, he's not eating. What I want you to do is just take the plant minerals, and you say he weighed how much?
She didn't tell me, but he's small. I'm guessing he probably weighs 15 to 20 pounds.
Okay. Then I would take a couple of tablespoons of our plant minerals, just unflavored liquid plant minerals, and rub them on that dog twice a day.
Rub them on the dog?
Yeah. Okay. It'll absorb it through the skin. And I've seen miracles happen by absorbing these minerals through the skin of both humans and animals. So if he's not eating, rub it on his skin.
So like on his belly?
Whatever. If he'll roll over on his back and let you rub it on his belly, fine. Otherwise, you may have to hold him, you know, put a headlock on him and have somebody else. And of course, rub it with the hair direction. Don't rub it against the grain on the hair, but rub it with the hair direction. But if he'll let you rub it on his belly, that's fine.
All right, excellent. What's your next question, Joe?
Okay. My next one is for my pup. His name is Barry. He's a 74-pound, 4-year-old black golden doodle, 80% poodle. He's a tall, sturdy dog. He's always scratched. He has to get shots from the vet to help with scratching.
Is it a he or a she?
It's a he. He's a boy. Okay. His scratching is currently under control. He has chronic ear infections. Those are under control. At 2 years of age, he had his first seizure. He does a whole seizure thing, staring off in the distance, tucks his tail, vomits, runs, falls, seizes, paddles limbs, foams at the mouth, urinates, lasts a minute or so. and then he has trouble walking. He's had 6 to 7 of these in 2 years. He's on levetiracetam, 1 pill 3 times a day. Prior to this, he fell into the shallow end of a pool 2 months before the seizures began. Not sure if there's correlation. I feel there is. He vomited after that, had trouble walking, kind of had a twisted body, and then we drove 9 hours home with him on trazodone.
Okay. So stop there.
Okay.
You say he weighs 74 pounds.
Yes.
All right. Okay. So I want him to get most of his dog food in the form of moist canned dog food, as opposed to dry dog food. If he's only eating dry dog food now, change it so half of it at least is canned dog food. Okay, because I want you to mix in that dog food or Arthrodex. It's the 1 scoop for 20 pounds of body weight, so it'll be 4 scoops with Arthrodex mixed in there. Then I also want him to have a soft-boiled egg, soft-boiled or soft scrambled in butter. Mix that in. I also want him to have our Arthrodex. Okay, go ahead and put in Arthrodex. 3 of those twice a day. And I also want him to have our Synaptive. Take our Synaptive for the seizures and all that kind of stuff. Take 3 of those, our Synaptive. It's the raw materials that the brain requires to make the chemistry necessary for the brain cells to talk to each other. And then call us every couple of weeks, because I think you're going to see something very interesting, positive.
Okay, and so he has a lot of food allergies, but I'm just going to pretty much ignore those and go with these because we had a hair test on him. And just to clarify, you said 4 scoops of Arthrodex, and then you said 3 Arthrodex also?
No, just fine. Just it's 4 scoops of the Arthrodex.
Okay, and then the next question is for Finley Rose. This is my last one. She is our 2-year-old golden doodle. She's 46 pounds. She's a slight frame, taller and leggy. She had her first set of vaccines at 5 weeks old, her second set at 7 weeks, and was spayed at the same time. She has excessive itching. I have her on a very clean dog food, but I just wanted to know what else we can do to help her. She also had a anal gland rupture, and that's better now. Okay,
good. All right. Well, again, because of the skin issues, I would add to the dog food. Let's see here. You say is 46 pounds. Is that correct?
Yes, she is.
Okay. I'd give her 2 of the MSM tablets ground up and put in the food. Okay. 2 MSM. I'd also put 1 scoop of the collagen peptides, and the dogs love it because it's made from cartilage from fish and poultry and sheep and beef. So they love that cartilage. Okay. And that's going to help with the skin. Okay.
Alrighty. And do you think there's such a thing as dogs having leaky gut also?
Well, yeah. If you're feeding that dog food or table scraps with gluten in it, they're going to get all that gut stuff, irritable bowel syndrome, leaky gut, all that kind of thing. No gluten, no wheat, no brown rye oats. Okay.
Yep.
The only people and animals that are not sensitive to gluten are dead people and dead animals.
Appreciate you. Thank you.
Okay. God bless.
You too. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Joe. Let's go to the next hand that is up, Dr. Wallach. And everybody, thank you so much for joining us here on Ask Vet Live. If you're on live with us, you do have the capability of raising your hand and asking questions. Now, today we're going to focus on our pets. And I was going to say 4-legged, but some of our pets are not always 4-legged. They're 2-legged. And if they've had issues, they might be 3 or 1-legged. But anyways, let's go on to, is it Joanne or Johanna? And you should be able to unmute now.
Hi, it's Joanne.
Well, welcome.
Thank you. I have a 2-year-old Karat mix that I rescued at 12 weeks. He was healthy, tiny, but healthy. And I brought him to the vet to have him checked out and tested for feline leukemia when I brought him home. And it was during COVID lockdown, so I wasn't able to go in with him. and she accidentally gave him a vaccination that he had just received 5 days prior. And pretty much went downhill from there. He didn't get off the couch all day. The next day he couldn't breathe. He was sneezing, coughing. He had a severe upper respiratory infection. I had to bring him to the emergency room. He recovered from that, but then started developing what we thought was crystals, and he was treated for that. It did not resolve. He was tested. There is no bacteria, and the vet pretty much said that it's stress induced, but he doesn't seem like a stress cat. He doesn't seem like he's sick. And so I had him checked out by someone else who was just a little bit more holistic. And she feels that he is vaccine damaged and has inflammation in his urethra from that double vaccination. So I didn't know if there's something that I can do to try and clear that, or if you have any other recommendations. He strains, just about every day at some point. Mostly
Okay, what's the weight?
He's about 13 pounds.
Okay. All right. Well, I'd give him 1 scoop of Arthrodex, okay, per day. I would also, let's see here, I would also give him of the, and it's primarily a urethra problem right now, you think?
Yeah, that's what the vet's thinking, some inflammation there, because he's straining like he thinks he needs to go, and it's always some form of pink in his urine. Like he'll get out of his box and then he'll strain right outside his box again. But then he'll run off like a crazy cat.
Okay. All right. Again, well, I would, give him the, let's see here, the Arthrodex, but I would also give him the MSM. At 13 pounds, I just give him 2 of the MSM tablets, grind them up, and put in his food. I would also give him the Ultimate Daily Classic tablets. I give him 2 of the Ultimate Daily Classic tablets, grind them up, and they're going to support healthy blood flow through the kidneys, okay, and the heart and the brain and the liver and the muscles and the urethra. So let's go with those 2 of the Ultimate Daily Classic tablets a day, okay?
Okay, do you have a recommended way to get them into an animal that refuses to eat anything other than dry food or freeze-dried raw? That's it. So
okay, well, what you do is you moisten the dried food with some or liquid minerals, and then mix in the ground up tablets. And if he doesn't eat it, just pick it up and put it in the icebox. And then later in the day, moisten it again. Okay. And after about the 3rd day, he'll eat it.
Okay. The Arthrodex seed has no problem. I can put that powder on the floor and he'll lick it right up.
Okay, good.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you so much. God bless.
You bet.
All right. Thank you, Joanne. Dr. Wallach, let's just move right into the next hand that is up. And Phyllis, go ahead and unmute. You are on live with Dr. Wallach on Ask a Vet Live.
Good morning, Doc.
Good morning.
I love hearing your animal stories, and I know you especially love the large exotic animals. We have a 9-year-old Maine Coon female cat. We've had her for a year, and she's always been small. She just saw the vet because she was constipated. She gets mostly wet food, gluten-free, a little bit of gluten-free kibble, good appetite. The vet recommended Miralax daily, and that has cleared up her constipation. But 2 issues. One, he said she was underweight. She's 6.7 pounds. And number 2, frequent hairballs. We try to keep her brushed and trim up her fur. But we're wondering what we can do about the underweight and the hairballs.
Okay. I would scramble some eggs and some butter and mix that with the food. Okay, some scrambled eggs. And then when they have hairballs, it usually happens because they have mineral deficiencies and they're licking kind of thing, creating the hairballs. And so what needs to happen here is put an ounce of our liquid plant minerals into, say, 6 ounces of water, and put that in the cat's, just make that the cat's water source. So put it in a bowl, and the cat will drink that water with the minerals in it.
Okay. You think they'll drink it?
Oh yeah.
Perfect.
Keep the lid down on the toilet.
They don't drink out of the toilet, thank goodness.
Okay, good.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Wallach.
You bet.
All right. Thank you, Phyllis. And Doc, let's just keep going. So Tamara Rose has a question. She actually has 3 questions. And first one, dog, 15 pounds, Jack Russell, 11 years old, and just started with incontinence issues. And it says on quarter Proin. I don't know if that's a pharmaceutical for pets or not. But let me see if she is on with us. But what would you recommend for a 15-pound dog with incontinence, Dr. Wallach?
Okay. This could be due to several things. Do we know how old this dog is?
11 years old.
11 years old, yeah. Well, the dog could have some osteoporosis, okay, and I apologize, is this a male or a female?
You know what? Does not say.
Okay.
It's a female.
Tamara says female.
Okay, female, okay. Female, okay, yeah, all right. Okay, so again, this dog needs to have 15 pounds, 1 scoop of Arthrodex in the food, and put the minerals, the liquid minerals, 1 ounce into say 5 or 6 ounces of water in the bowl on the ground. Okay, so he gets liquid minerals that way. And then let's see here. Did we cover everything?
So we've got the Arthrodex, we've got the liquid minerals.
Okay,
sorry,
but the dog,
was there something specific?
But the dog is, okay, the dog is incontinent, could have osteoporosis of the skull. Okay, squeezing the spinal cord, and the spinal cord is telling the urinary bladder to urinate, just like it does in humans. People get up 5, 6, 8, 10 times a night to urinate when they have osteoporosis of the skull, squeezing the spinal cord. And so there's gonna be a little bit of that going on. And so again, don't forget the collagen peptides at 15 pounds. I would throw in a half a scoop, okay, in the dog food. Dogs will love it because it's made out of cartilage and ligaments and tendons and connective tissue. I would also throw in 2 tablets of MSM, grind them up, put that powder in there, because we want to rebuild the dog's skull. We want to rebuild the dog's cervical vertebrae, which could be squeezing the spinal cord, which is causing the urinary bladder to urinate.
All right. Okay. And so Tamara's next question is also a dog, 8 years old, 9 pounds, just removed a huge oxalate stone. The pup is a Chihuahua cross, and for years was having blood in the urine and urinary tract infections until they discovered the bladder stone.
Okay, well, kidney stones, bladder stones are caused by mineral deficiencies. Okay, and the body starts robbing the bones out of minerals, trying to raise the blood level of minerals. And so it kind of overcompensates, and that's why they get kidney stones, bladder stones, all that kind of stuff. It's not from too much minerals, it's from not enough minerals. So this dog at 9 pounds needs a half a scoop of the Arthrodex in his food every day. Okay, Arthrodex needs the collagen peptides. I'd go with a half a scoop of the collagen peptides in the food. And I would also go with 2 of the MSM tablets ground up and put in the food.
All right, thank you so much. And Tamara, I hope that you were listening whenever Doc was talking about arthritis, because I know her third question had to do with a 10-year-old terrier mix, 19 pounds with arthritis. So Doc, if you wouldn't mind going over what you would give a 19-pound dog for arthritis again, that would be fabulous.
Okay. Well, again, I prefer canned dog food because you can mix stuff in it and the dog can't separate it. Okay. But 19 pounds is 1 scoop of the Arthrodex mixed in the dog's food. The dog also needs 2 MSM tablets. Okay. And let's see here, mixed in. I would also throw in, and this is causing
Arthritis?
arthritis. Okay, yeah. The MSM, 2 of those tablets ground up. I would also throw in the vitamin D3, 1 or 2 of those in the dog food. And it wouldn't hurt again to throw in the collagen peptides, a half a scoop at breakfast, half a scoop at dinner time, twice a day.
Now, Dr. Wallach, she brings up a really good point, or she brings up the fact that all of the dogs are on a raw diet. Now, you're mentioning canned diet. Why would you recommend a canned formula over a raw diet?
Because a raw diet, you have no earthly idea how many minerals are in there. Nutritional minerals do not occur in a uniform blanket around the crust of the earth. They occur in veins like gold and silver. So I only have 2 minerals. In 1936, U.S. Senate document 264 said we don't have enough nutritional minerals in our soil anymore. Okay. And so it might only have 3 minerals in there. And so the only way you're going to guarantee the minerals is with the Arthrodex, okay, and the MSM and the collagen peptides. And dry dog food or raw dog food, okay, it just won't cut it. You're expecting to be all the nutrients in there. And as they say in France, it ain't happening.
Well, Dr. Wallach, basically it's the same as our human food supply.
That's correct.
Right.
And that's why we have trouble with human food. That's why we have trouble with human disease.
And even if, for those of us that are meat eaters, if the animals that we then eventually have on our plate are not getting the nutrients that they need to be healthy, they're not able to pass that nutrition on to us either.
That is correct. Meat in itself is not a perfect food. If all you eat is meat, you're going to be very sick within a couple of months from a balance problem, because meat has certain nutrients in it, but it doesn't have all 90. And so you're just begging for trouble when you go that direction.
I agree.
It's kind of like putting dirt from Texas in your car. Come on, there's bound to be some oil in it. There's bound to be some gasoline in there. That's dirt from Texas. Now, an idiot wouldn't do that to their car. When people say, well, I'm just going to be a vegetarian and just eat vegetables. Okay, well, you're begging for trouble. If you want to be a vegetarian, you have to take all 90 essential nutrients according to your body weight faithfully every day. Because if you're a vegetarian and you're not getting all 90 essential nutrients in your walnuts and your onions and your tomatoes, that kind of stuff, which you won't, okay, because plants do not make minerals. They only need 3. They only need NPK. When you look at commercial fertilizers, they only contain NPK, because that's all the plant needs to give the farmer the maximum yield in terms of tons and bushels per acre. Now, you tell me, Rebecca, does a farmer get paid by tons and bushels, or does a farmer get paid by how much nutrition's in the food?
It's by the ton and bushel, Doc.
There you go. So he goes for the NPK because it's cheap and it gives him the tons and bushels.
Yeah.
But then he gives all his animals he's feeding that hay to, he gives all of them the 90 essential nutrients.
Well, I think everything that breathes, right? Everything that breathes needs the 90 essential nutrients.
That is correct. Whether you're a bird, a reptile, a mammal, a pisco fish, it doesn't matter. All living animals, including humans, require the 90 essential nutrients.
All right. So, Dr. Wallach, let's go ahead and go to Elaine, who has her hand up here before we get our break. Elaine, go ahead and unmute yourself. You're on live with Dr. Wallach. Do you have a pet question today?
Well, I do. And hi, Dr. Wallach. I've followed you for more than 20 years. And,
wow.
Now I feed a raw food diet. It's a high quality frozen. It is muscle meat, organ meat, ground boned. Sometimes I like to stick with beef. I don't trail off too much more than that. Should I be adding added minerals as you're saying now? Or something that I would add on top of that?
You need to be adding on top of that the Arthrodex, 1 scoop for 20 pounds of body weight. And say for 20 pounds of body weight, I would throw in 1 or 2 of the MSM. Okay. And then, of course, don't forget the collagen peptides. Don't forget D3. And so, eating whole meat, for instance, like eating chicken, and you give them the bones, and dogs will eat the cartilage off the ends of the bones and eat the bones and sit there and crunch the bones and things. They're getting more nutrition than if they're just getting the meat, but it's still not perfect. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I throw out beef neck bones occasionally out in the yard and let them chew on those for a bit. But I just wondered if I needed to be putting something else on there. One is 10, one is 9. I've been feeding them for about 9 years on that. And I've never had any health issues. I have some vets that aren't for it, but
yeah. Well, anytime you're feeding bones to meat-eating animals, you're getting minerals. Okay. And so there's bound to be some calcium and phosphorus and magnesium. There's bound to be some zinc and stuff like that. But, how much iodine's in there? How much sulfur is in the bones, as if you don't have the cartilage there. And so these are the sort of things that you get away with it for a long time when you're doing more things other than just giving meat, and you're giving the bones and stuff like that. You're gonna add 25 to 30% more time for them. But if you give them all 90, instead of them living to be happily 12, 15 years old of age, they can live to be 25 to 30 years of age.
Wow. Wow. God bless your work. Thank you so much for your time today.
Well, you're very welcome. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Elaine. Now, Dr. Wallach, there's a lot of questions in regards to, where'd you go?
I'm here. Where are you?
I'm trying to find myself.
There you are. I see you.
I love technology. When everything's bouncing around and you're trying to hit the right button and it moves on you because people are popping in and out. It's just fantastic. And that just makes me appreciate my co-hosts more and more, Dr. Wallach. I do. Well, so Arthrodex, let's talk about Arthrodex, because Arthrodex you have been recommending for cats, for dogs, for birds, for cattle. Tell us about Arthrodex that makes it so versatile.
Well, it covers a lot of territories as far as the number of minerals in there, and it's in a powdered form, granule form, so that you can mix it in any type of food. And it's kind of like when you have a carnivore, whether they're a lion, tiger, or bear, kind of thing, or a dog or a coyote, kind of thing. There's certain things they will eat, okay, and because they're familiar with it, they're designed, okay, to eat those things. They're not going to eat sliced bread very often. It's not going to be a major part of their meal. Okay, it's not going to satisfy their craving for meat and bones and that kind of stuff.
Well, I know for me, if I start eating bread that has gluten, I can't stop eating. And I think that was probably one of my biggest issues. And I find with my dogs too, when I have them on a food that has gluten in it, they're eating all day long. But when I put the Arthrodex on a gluten-free food, they'll stop, they'll have some bites, and then they're on their way. And they're active and they're not sluggish. It's amazing the difference in just changing out that key component within a food. and then
Yeah, you got to get
adding
rid
what
of
they really
gluten.
need.
The only people and the only animals that are not sensitive to gluten are dead animals and dead people.
And as Phyllis mentioned in the chat, that your need for the 90 essential nutrients expires when your need for oxygen expires.
Very well said.
Yes, Phyllis, thank you so much. And it's the animal world and the human world. It's amazing how many things cross over and are applicable to both. So
yeah. Well, we're made from the same, what should I say, same design. Well, we're made from the same design. When you go back to the beginning of history, when the good Lord made the earth and all the critters on earth and everything like that, we're made from the same raw materials. And it's kind of interesting, which one the good Lord started with. The good Lord started with trilobites and then went to dinosaurs. We came along a lot later. We weren't first in line.
We were kind of the afterthought.
That's correct.
Yeah. I don't want to say that he got bored with the things that didn't talk back, but.
Okay, and the Garden of Eden, how much wheat did the Garden of Eden have?
I don't know that it really talks about wheat in the garden.
Well, it doesn't have any wheat. The only thing in the Garden of Eden was herbs and fruit trees. It's very well described in the Old Testament, okay, is herbs and fruit trees.
Okay.
There was no wheat, barley, rye, or oats. There were no wheat, barley, rye, and oats. There was no corn. There were no potatoes. There was none of that kind of stuff. It was just herbs and fruit trees.
Wow. So that leads into a question that Therese has, Dr. Wallach.
Mm-hmm.
Her question is, are there any fruits or vegetables that can be added to canned dog food that would make are there fruits and vegetables healthy for dogs as well?
Well, as far as just, you want to add some corn, is probably safe. You want to add some rice, it's safe. You want to add some onions, it's okay. But, what's in it besides some carbohydrates and some flavor? Why do you want to put that stuff in the dog food and the cat food? It's because you like it and you think it's going to be a treat for the animal. Well, they may like it from a treat standpoint, but again, how many minerals are in there? 3, 5, 18, 25? You don't know. And so you can't use that as a way to say, well, I'm giving them stuff. I get people all the time when I talk to them, I say, well, do you supplement? Well, yeah, I supplement. I've been supplementing my whole life. Okay, well, what do you supplement with? Well, I take vitamin C. But what else you take? Nothing. I just take vitamin C, but I eat well. Well, that's why you have 18 diseases. You've had a double knee replacement, and you have all your teeth are gone, and you have implants, okay, because you're not doing everything right.
Gotcha. All right. Well, I can't believe our first hour is already up. Let's go ahead and take a quick 5-minute break, Dr. Wallach.
Okay.
And we will be right back with Ask Vet Live. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us here on Ask Vet Live. And lots of great questions. So I know we spend a lot of time with our fur babies. We want to make sure, because they can't really take care of themselves, that we're taking good care of them and being responsible pet owners. Let's not forget about ourselves, because if there's nobody there to take care of your pet babies, who's going to take care of them? So making sure that you're taking care of yourself as well is very, very important, folks. But we will be right back after this short break on Ask Vet Live. Remember, if you have a question that you would like to ask Dr. Wallach in regards to your pet's health, go ahead and raise your hand. If you are on live with us, go to that Zoom menu, click on reactions. You'll find the option to raise hand there. If you are watching the replay, get back with the person that invited you to watch that replay and say, hey, this doctor was talking about some situations that I have going on with my little fur babies. I need to get what he recommended. And they will have a special way to order. If you were not recommended by anybody specific, then feel free to go to Ask Vet Live. That's VET, askvetlive.com. And we have a store there on Ask Vet Live. Now, I know that this time does not work for everybody, but there are lots of opportunities that you are able to ask your questions of Dr. Wallach. And one of our programs that's been going the longest, I think it was one of the very original programs, is on the radio on ksco.com. You can do the live stream, and from 12 to 1, Dr. Wallach is on answering questions for folks that are calling into the station in regards to their own health and what they can do to help improve themselves physically, medically, But I do want to remind everybody that this program is brought to you for informational purposes only. It is not intended to take the place of a primary care physician or veterinarian, but from my personal experience, the medical system failed me. And since we have a world-renowned veterinarian with us today, I think that his experience constitutes opening up our ears, listening, and implementing what he's recommending, because he's been doing this for over 50 years, folks. I think it's 60 years. Wow. He's 83 years old, and his first publication was in his early 20s when he was just a veterinarian student. So he's got a little bit of experience, a little bit of knowledge. He's been asked to do some major research programs. I think that the words coming out of his mouth have a little bit of credibility. Don't know about you. But Dr. Wallach will be back with us in just a moment. We have more questions coming in. Greatly appreciate all the questions, because I'm sure you're not the only one with that question. And when people are asking questions on this recorded program, we are able to then share it through video replays that then make stronger communities, both in our animal world and in our human world. So here, let me see. Got lots of questions coming in. Dr. Wallach, there's Dr. Wallach. I was going to say
We're back.
Back with us here in just a moment. So welcome back, Dr. Wallach. Now, Jenny's mother-in-law says that dogs can't eat red onions. Are there specific foods that animals should not be fed or given?
If a human being can eat it, an animal can eat it.
How about chocolate?
Oh, they love chocolate.
Okay. Because there's this thing that says don't give dogs chocolate, it's bad for them. And I have a grandfather who had a dog named Snickers, who got at least one fun-sized Snicker a day. And Snicker lived till he was 22 years old.
Well, there you go. Chocolate will extend your dog's life to 22 years.
I don't know about all that sugar though, Doc.
Well, live 22 years. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Let's see, what is 1 year in dog life is to how much in humans?
7.
7. So 22 is 14 is 154 years.
That's a long life for anybody, but I plan on living.
I'm gonna eat more chocolate.
Okay, thanks. Okay, I'm adding it to my diet, Doc. Thank you so much. I think there's other people that'll appreciate that, but we do want to make sure that we're eating quality chocolate.
Oh yeah.
And so when it comes available, folks, Longevity has some amazing chocolate. Unfortunately, it does not ship in the warmer months. And even in San Diego in the warmer months, I cannot pick it up. That just breaks my heart. But that's all part of planning and making sure that we have what we need available on our shelves for ourselves and our pets for multiple months.
It's correct. Because of the supply chain pickups we have going on right now, I like to keep a 3-month supply of everything.
Yes, at least.
Mm-hmm.
I personally like 6. Just,
Well, there you go.
I don't know, overachiever. I don't know. But Carrie comes on and she's like, I board dogs. I use the YGY, that's longevity calming spray, to have nice downtime during the day and keep their anxiety and excitement in a new place abated. That's a really good recommendation, Carrie. Thank you so much for bringing that up. So the calming spray is just some essential oils that are pet safe, that's been mixed into a spray. And I've actually used it with my dogs when we're traveling. They get a little car sick. Not a little. Rottweilers get really car sick. But I spray a little bit on my hand and then I rub the inside of their ears with it. And it doesn't take much. I could even put it on my hands and then just put it up close to their muzzle, let them smell it. And that whole, drooling and out the nose out the window because they can't seem to get enough and then they got to get out. It's definitely reduced. So I appreciate the calming spray. Thank you so much for bringing that up, Carrie. And hey, Dan, at the end of the show, so give us another 35 minutes, raise your hand, and we will get to some human questions. Let's make sure that we get the human questions. Let's go ahead and go to Carrie. She doesn't have video, but she does have a question for you, Doc. So,
okay,
Carrie, go ahead and unmute yourself. You're on live with Dr. Wallach.
Hi, Dr. Wallach. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, yes, great. I had a bottle of the white osteo effects that broke in the mail, and the company took care of all of that. We've handled all of that, but I still have this bottle. And I was just wondering if it's something that can be used either in the garden, like around citrus tree or avocado trees, or if it can be used for pets.
Okay, well, I'd filter it to make sure there's no particles of glass in there. Or if you want to, if you have fruit trees, you just dig a hole, say 10 feet away from the trunk of the fruit tree and just bury it. And the fruit tree will be getting some of that.
Okay. Okay. So it is good for use in the garden and.
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely.
But probably not pets?
Well, again, I'd filter it to make sure there's no glass particles or anything like that in there.
Okay. Yeah, it was plastic. The lid just broke off. The mailman dropped it instead of setting it. So, okay. Thank you.
You bet.
I was really more interested in using it in the garden. I feel like in California,
use it in the garden.
Now,
don't waste it. Don't waste it.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't want to waste it. Exactly. Okay, thank you.
You bet.
All right. Thank you, Carrie. That's a great question. And I know Dr. Wallach, whenever my vitamins or anything drop on the ground, because I have pets, it's not one of those 5-second rules where you just pick it up, blow it off, and then take it. I throw them out in the garden. It doesn't matter what they are. Or I give them to my pet if it's fallen where they're the ones making the mess. But let's talk about essential fatty acids, Dr. Wallach, and the importance of essential fatty acids for our pets as well.
Okay, well, essential fatty acids, as the name implies, are required, essential, okay, to life and health. And they are required for skin health, for intestinal health, for respiratory health. They help reduce the risk of blood clots and strokes and all that kind of stuff. So I take 3 of the EFAs and 3 of the EFA pluses twice a day. Okay. And I weigh 142 pounds. I'm probably overdoing it. You could probably get away with half of that, say 3 of each twice a day. Okay. 3 at breakfast, 3 at dinner time. Okay. But I take a lot.
So tell us, Dr. Wallach, the essential fatty acids, yes, they're essential, they're needed. What specific functions of the body are they most important for?
Well, they have multiple functions. They prevent abnormal blood clots. They support healthy respiratory function. They help with skin health. They help with brain function, everything from memory to sex hormones and all that kind of stuff. So EFAs are really essential, okay, as opposed to something you rub on, like a cosmetic thing.
Right, because it's working at the cellular level from the inside out.
That's correct.
So I have had pets in the past, Dr. Wallach, that their skin was so itchy, they scratched all the time. I did 2 things. I got rid of gluten from their diets, and I added essential fatty acids.
And then what happened?
They no longer scratched.
Isn't that amazing?
Simple. It was simple. I think that we make it complicated, Dr. Wallach.
Yeah. And when you do that, you're adding many healthful years to that dog's life. So it's not only a cosmetic and a sort of lifestyle benefit, but also you're adding many healthful years to that animal's life when you give them the EFAs along with the other 90 essential nutrients. Don't forget the other 90 essential nutrients. So I always get nervous when we talk about a nutrient and people say, oh, okay, I'll just, give my dog some chicken breast and some EFAs. No, that's not going to work.
Right. Well, and Carrie brought up a very good point in regards to, pets and being scratchy and itchy, that the vets will sell you $100 a month allergy shot for that. Mm-hmm. Where just changing their diet, it takes care of it naturally.
Adding the essential nutrients. It's kind of like, are you going to put dirt from Texas in your car? Are you going to put oil in your car?
I'll stick with oil.
Are you going to wash your car twice a week or put oil in your car?
I'll put oil in my car.
Well, there you go. Same principle is true with ourselves and our pets and our kids and our loved ones. And
yes, I agree. And John says Doc needs to do a book for animals. Well, John, guess what? We've got this exotic animal book that Doc originally published. Was it 1982?
Something like that.
That's in the Smithsonian.
Mm-hmm.
And we're looking at a reprint.
Yeah, we're working on a reprint right now as we speak.
So that's going to be exciting. And folks, it's not going to be $25,000.
No, it'll be much cheaper. It'll be $24,999. No. No, I guarantee it'll be much cheaper.
Yep, it'll be a fraction of the cost. And there's a lot of books, Dr. Wallach, that you're working on. And
mm-hmm. Yeah, there's 4 others in the pipeline.
Yep, you are a very, very busy man. Very busy man. Well, let's go to, let's see, as we're going through questions. Okay, so Debbie has a question about Kiwi. Now, Kiwi is a 27-year-old Amazon parrot. And Kiwi has started scratching at his eye. And it looks like there is a cataract forming. What would you recommend for Kiwi, Dr. Wallach? He's about 15 ounces, so just under a pound.
Okay. I would put an ounce of liquid plant minerals in it's like 6 ounces of water and keep that parrot's little water dish or water thing for the parrot, okay, for those minerals. because they require a lot of minerals. And where they say, why aren't parrots all over the world? Well, they live in certain places because they have all the minerals in the soil that parrots need. That's why they're not found universally all over the world, even though the temperature is okay with them, but they don't have the nutrients in the soil. So you have to provide all the nutrients those parrots need. Okay, whether it's a parakeet, or a giant parrot, okay, or something like that. They do need those nutrients. And so one of the easiest ways to do it is just put the liquid plant minerals, which has 78 minerals in it, put an ounce of that and say 4 or 5 or 6 ounces of water, and just keep that little water dish in their cage full of that. Okay, but I would also throw some Arthrodex in because they'll lick it. They'll lick that Arthrodex because they out in the wild, they will go to all of these places that the animals go to, the salt licks, and the parrots will go there and they'll actually lick the salt because the salt has more than sodium chloride, and it also has other minerals because the salt came from an ocean that was there sometime. When the ocean went away, all the minerals and the salt combined to form these rocks in the salt lick. And so the animals go there for it, and they're licking the salt, but they're also getting all these other minerals.
So, Dr. Wallach, okay, when I had chickens, and I had more than just a dozen backyard chickens, we used the granule minerals, and we would mix it into their food.
Mm-hmm.
Now, birds have a craw, and I think, I haven't studied the anatomy of every bird, but I think almost every bird has a craw, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that helps to break down the food. So if they're eating the granule minerals and that gets into the craw, then it's absorbing into their digestive system. And we had strong shelled eggs. They were bright in color. It was, the flavor was just totally wonderful. So is that okay to do using the
Well, yeah,
granules?
I mean, people have been doing that forever. Again, you had a place where you would put all of your table scraps and quote garbage unquote, and put them into a pile in a hole in the backyard, and the chickens would come and eat some, the turkeys would come and eat some, the rabbits would come and eat some, and even the cows and horses would come and eat some. And it's one of those things where it's a waste to just burn that stuff because it has nutritional value in it. And animals are constantly looking for that nutritional value because the hay may only have 5 minerals in it. And they have pica. They have, their body is telling them, you need to be eating more stuff because you're not getting enough minerals. And so that's why horses chew on the top rail of a fence or their stall in the barn. What do they call that when a horse chews on the top rail?
Pike. It's cribbing.
Cribbing.
Because
well,
of pica.
Okay, because of pica. Why do they call it cribbing?
Well, I know babies used to chew on the side of a crib.
Yes, when babies are deficient in minerals, they chew on the top rail in the crib. And so they call that cribbing. And so when horses do the same thing, they called it the same thing.
Yeah. And it was pretty sad when they were chewing on the side of the crib with lead-based paint.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, there were consequences. And so, and of course, some people got it and they knew they needed nutrients, and some people didn't get it. Unfortunately, a lot of the medical doctors didn't get it. Oh, you got to tie up the kid because they're trying to chew on the top rail of their crib. Well, they're telling you something. Just tying up the kids not going to solve the problem.
That's right. That's right. Well, talking about kids, Dr. Wallach, I do not want to miss this question that Dan has.
Okay.
So Dan, go ahead and unmute yourself. And if you're able to come on camera, that would be fabulous as well.
Now, is this a goat kid or is this a human kid?
I'm going to say this is a newborn baby boy.
Okay.
That's right. So my nephew had a couple of twins born about 11 days ago, and the baby came premature 2 or 3 weeks. They had a little trouble staying at normal body temperature, but that resolved itself. They've been in intensive care the whole time. And they caught a rhinovirus, and I think they're doing pretty good. They're getting ready to come home the next couple of days. And one of the babies had a bloody stool yesterday, and he's been diagnosed as NEC. So they put him on some antibiotic yesterday. And
Okay,
he's not
stop.
responding to that yet.
Stop. What is NEC?
I have no idea. It's just something that was texted to me by my nephew. So
okay,
they took an X-ray, and he's got inflammation of the lower intestine.
Mm-hmm. Okay, is he being breastfed, or do they give me a bottled milk?
I know that they've been getting bottle fed, but as far as the breastfeeding, I'm not sure. They're 100 miles away from where I live.
Yeah. Okay. And so, yeah, if it's being breastfed, the mother can be eating gluten, and the gluten is being passed on to the baby. Okay. And so
Right.
we need more information here. But again, sure. These babies can be getting the 90 essential nutrients, okay, in the form of, you go ahead, we have what we call kids toddy. The kids toddy, it's a liquid formula for newborn babies. It's called kids toddy. And okay. the label on the back tells you how much to give it per pound of body weight kind of thing, okay? Sure. And I would also use the same label dosage for Cherry Mints. You want to add that to the kids toddy. And then, as we were talking about earlier, don't forget the EFAs. Don't forget the EFAs. And so newborn babies, I would give that kid 1 EFA a day. Go ahead and puncture the EFA and squirt that liquid EFA into the kid's toddy. And if the mother is breastfeeding the babies, then the kid's toddy could be given 1 meal a day. Okay. Sure. If the mother is not breastfeeding the baby can be getting the kid's toddy for, along with something like Similac, complete Similac. We've sued them in the courts, and in 2011, they gave us, sort of permission to put nutrients into baby formulas, but then by 2000. I think it's 2016. They've been put in there permanently. I think it's 2016. I'll look it up here.
I believe that's correct. And Dr. Wallach, NEC is necrotizing enterocolitis, a serious gastrointestinal problem.
Yeah, that's a gluten problem.
That mostly affects premature babies.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, they're being fed something with gluten, either breast milk or some formula that has gluten in it.
Okay. So formulas can have gluten in them too.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. So do you think the doctors would know what kind of a formula would be gluten-free?
No.
Darn.
Doctors don't know anything about nutrition. That's why they have one of the shortest lifespans of any human. You want to go to the book, Rare Earth-Forbidden Cures, and I think it's chapter 11 goes into longevity. And of course, the people with the shortest lifespan in America are doctors.
Amazing. So I don't know how long it would take to order these supplements and have them come. Is there a way to get these kind of things through like a pharmacy?
Nope.
Similar thing?
No, what you do is you ask them to be shipped overnight.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, there's nothing like kids toddy on the market.
Okay.
Okay, but
TDI or
you can get toddy, TODDY.
DDY.
Like a hot toddy, Okay, but you can go get the Similac and Enfamil and stuff like that. We sued them, we petitioned them, we sued them, we petitioned them, and of course, let's see here. And so when we were successful in getting these nutrients into the baby formulas. I'm looking for my piece of paper here. Okay.
And Sid's just about went completely away, didn't it?
Oh, here we go. Yeah. And so at any rate, it's one of those things where it was like 2016 that the FDA forced them to put it in baby formulas. We forced them. I mean, we were petitioning and suing them for like 25 years to get that done. And doctors resisted. Oh, all those nutrients are poisonous for babies. That's how much they know about nutrition.
Amazing. Okay, well, I appreciate all the information. One quick personal question. I don't know if you have time to answer it. What are your thoughts about people drinking water out of bottled waters, like the 16-ounce bottled waters? Is that a risk with plastic?
Okay, well, that's what I use to make my liquid supplements. I put all my powders and everything in it because I'm in the car, I'm in airplanes and stuff like that. Right. I can't depend on a well in my backyard kind of stuff. And so I do use water in a bottle. Okay, I'll drink a third of it, and then I put all my powders in there and shake it up, and then use that twice a day.
But I've got really dry skin, and somebody told me that sometimes the tap water's got the chlorine that can aggravate the dry skin. And
okay, have you ever heard of the science of crapola?
Yes, I have.
Okay, if you have dry skin, the odds are you're missing essential fatty acids and zinc and all kinds of other stuff.
Right.
The odds are you're eating gluten, so you're not absorbing things even if they were in your diet or supplement program.
Right.
The only people who are not sensitive to gluten are dead people.
Wow.
You do not want to be one of those.
Which one of your books would you recommend I read to find out good foods to eat? Because if I stopped eating bread and cereals, I don't know what I would eat to fill my stomach.
Okay. We have a book called Dr. Wallach's Cooking Without the Bad Foods. It's 300 pages of gluten-free recipes. Dr. Wallach's Cooking Without the Bad Foods. Okay. And then, of course, the book Epigenetics, the book Rare Earthsman Cures, the book Hell's Kitchen. All those are essential information.
All right. Well, thank you for your time today.
Okay. Well, thank you for calling in, sir.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right. Thank you, Dan. Dr. Wallach, let's go to the next hand that is up. I think Joe had another question. Joe, go ahead and ask your question.
Hello.
Hello, sorry. Yes, Dr. Wallach, I just wanted to circle back. I had talked to you about Swayze, the 11-year-old Chinese crested powder puff that had a sarcoma tumor. You suggested the plant minerals to rub on him. Will that also help with the tumor or just with his eating? And is the tumor pretty much?
No. It's for his immune system.
Okay. For immune system. Do you think his body can reabsorb that tumor?
Oh, well, we'll find out, won't we?
Okay, so that's the only recommendation. I wanted to make sure with that.
Okay. There's no other way to get that kind of nutrition into him if he's not eating well and all that kind of stuff is to rub it on their belly, rub it on their back. But you got to get the liquid minerals into them.
Okay, that's great. And then if it's okay, I do have a little question for me.
Okay, you're a mammal. Go ahead.
Yeah, I am a mammal. So I'm 56, 5'8", 137 pounds. I have Hashimoto's, Lyme disease, whatever. But the thing that I'm working on right now is I have really bad eye floaters and my vision is not good, even though when I go to the doctors, my glass prescription does not change. I'm gluten-free, dairy-free, not dairy-free right now, actually.
Okay,
I'm eating the bad stuff.
Floaters are the equivalent of dandruff. Okay, they're the same issue as dandruff. You're missing something that's required to maintain the integrity of your retina, the lining of the eye. And so you're getting dandruff inside your eye. You get the picture?
Yeah.
Okay, so 138 pounds. You're right at that cusp, but you may have some early warning stuff going on here. Do you have any ringing in your ears?
No.
How many times a night you wake up to urinate?
None.
Okay, good. Do you have any other skin problems, any eczema, dermatitis, or psoriasis?
No.
Okay. Do you have any constipation or diarrhea?
Occasional constipation. I usually have 2 or 3 stools a day. So
Okay, what about high blood pressure, diabetes?
no, actually, the functional med said I was pre-diabetic.
Okay. And then anything going on with your lungs, any asthma, bronchitis, COPD, anything like that?
No,
Okay, any irregular heartbeat, AFib,
No.
high blood or high heart rate, slow heart rate?
no.
Okay, all right. Well, the floaters in your eyes are kind of like the red warning light on your car dashboard. Okay, they're not hurting you, but they're telling you there's something missing someplace. Okay. And so what you want to do is ramp up on your nutrients. So for a while, I'd go with 2 healthy brain and heart packs per month, 2 healthy brain and heart packs per month, full dose everything twice a day. I'd get 2 bottles of MSM, so you take 3 at breakfast, 3 at lunch, 3 at dinner time. I would get the Occutive and take 3 of those 3 times a day. It'll be 3 bottles of Occutive because they're little bottles. Okay. I'd also take the vitamin D3, 2 bottles a month, so you take 3 of those twice a day. And then the Ultimate Daily Classic tablets. Get 2 bottles of that, so you can take 3 twice a day. They're going to support, Ultimate Daily Classic tablets are going to support healthy blood flow through blocked arteries in the eye and the heart and the brain and every place else. And so then call me in say 2 weeks and 4 weeks and 6 weeks after you start this. And again, don't stay away from all the bad stuff. No fried foods, no processed meats, no oils, no gluten, no wheat, butter, rhinos, no sugar, no carbonated drinks. And then, we'll kind of know what's going on. Okay.
Okay, so I have to ask, should I ignore all my food tested allergies then with some of these? Because some of the stuff I'm allergic to that are in the Healthy Brain and Health Pack, I can't have flax seeds and some other items that are in there. So should I just ignore that and kind of just go down this path for
Okay, well,
leaky gut stuff?
what symptoms are you getting from eating flax seeds?
I don't know. I have flushing, like extreme flushing. If I eat something like popcorn, air pop popcorn, I have an allergy to that. And I have all over body aches when I eat that.
Okay, well, stay away from popcorn.
Yeah. So, but I have a lot of allergies, and a lot of some of the products that you're recommending have that in there. So,
okay, so we don't have popcorn in our products.
No, you don't. So there's just flaxseed and some of the fish oils that I can't do. So,
okay, well, what I want you to do is, let's see here, start out slow, just do it 1 meal a week, and then no problem, go to 2 meals a week, say Tuesday and Thursday, go for a week and no problem. Then you go 3 meals a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Okay, kind of slowly get up to it as opposed to just taking it all at once. Okay.
Okay, you're talking about taking the products 1 meal a week with the products.
Yeah, to start with.
Okay.
And then after a week, you go to 2 days a week. Then after 2 weeks, you go to 3 days a week. Okay, take a month or 5 or 6 weeks to get it up every day.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, Joe. Great questions.
Yep. It's a very common issue.
Yeah, and I think keeping a food diary and really paying attention to what our body says to us and how it reacts, because testing can be so inconcisive. I mean, depending on what we ate yesterday, especially when it comes to
yeah, exactly. It's impersonal. Testing is impersonal.
So to paying attention to how our body reacts and keeping a food diary, is that what you think might be the best way to go, Doc?
Yeah, and love yourself and just take a little bit at a time, or remove bad things a little bit at a time. Don't cold turkey either direction.
All right. Well, let's go to the next hand that is up, and we have Susan. Susan, go ahead and unmute yourself. You're on live with Dr. Wallach.
Hi, thank you. I'm feeding 2 stray cats, and one's was diagnosed with FIV, the feline immunodeficiency virus, and I'm assuming the other one has it too because he acts the same after the 2 were in a fight. at this point. So I don't have a lot of information. I think the one that was diagnosed, they guessed him to be 4 2 years ago, so he'd be 6 now.
How much do they weigh?
I don't have an accurate. I would guess 7 to 9 pounds.
Okay, standard size cat, adult cat. Okay, yeah. So they should each get a half a scoop of Arthrodex in their food. And I would give them a good brand of canned cat food with vitamins and minerals added to it, as opposed to just some tuna fish or something like that. Okay. They need a canned cat food with vitamins and minerals in it. And then, okay, and then add the Arthrodex. Okay, if they weigh 10, 12 pounds, that's a half a scoop of Arthrodex. If they weigh 15 pounds, it's a full scoop of Arthrodex. Okay.
Okay, I'll try to get a weight. One started, he holds his head low and his tongue's hanging out. He also has an eye infection.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, it could have a sore throat, and that's, because of the eye infection. Could have osteoporosis of the skull, squeezing the optic nerve and the ninth cranial nerve, the ossopharyngeal nerve in his throat. And so there's all kinds of possibilities there.
Okay.
But, okay, but we do have Occutive. You take a couple of those and put them in the cat's food. Okay, don't forget the EFAs. For cats, I like the EFA pluses because they're made from fish oils. Okay.
Okay. All righty. So the trick is I am feeding them top quality food. It's gluten-free.
Good.
And, I even want the better raised animals, except for it's a little, the cost is a bit much. So, but it's painful when they don't eat it all. So I'm concerned about how to get this, the Arthrodex in them.
You can put it on your salad. Don't throw it away. If they're not going to eat it, you eat
it. I could trouble use it for sure. All right. Oh, good. Well, and then speaking of me, when you say 2 healthy brain and heart packs, I have the powdered kit.
That's right.
You mean what it says on here, 1 scoop of each, or to double that?
No, what you want to do, Healthy Brain and Heart Pack is a pack. It's a set. It's got a bunch of stuff in it.
Yeah.
Okay. It's not just the BTT 2.0. BTT 2.0 is part of the Healthy Brain and Heart Pack, but it has all these other products in there.
Okay.
So I say the Healthy Brain and Heart Pack, it's a pack that you get all this stuff in.
And when he says 2 per month, that's 2 doses per day. So on that pack, 1 dose would be 1 scoop of the Beyond Tangy Tangerine, 1 scoop of the Osteo FX, 3 of the EFA plus. If it's the Brain and Heart Pack, you're looking at 3 twice a day of the Ultimate EFA, and then 3 selenium a day. So if you're doing 2 packs per month, you're going to double that.
Okay. And if I'm doing like one scoop of the tangerine,
that's only
2 scoops.
You need to do.
Yeah, you're not getting everything if that's all you're taking.
That may be my, because I have skin issues, and at first I was starting to see a little improvement, and then it just leveled out.
How many nutrients does your skin need?
How many? What did you say?
How many nutrients does your skin need?
Oh, the 90.
Yeah. So don't just take 1.
Yeah. Oh no. Yeah. Well, I meant
take the whole package. Take the whole package.
Yeah.
And make sure you're taking those EFAs. People don't realize the importance of the essential fatty acids, the omega-3, 6, and 9.
And if I miss, it's 3 times a day, I find I forget at least 1 time. Can you double up, or you just ignore it? Like, can I miss 2 at night?
No, just go ahead and take 1 dose of everything twice a day. 1 dose of breakfast, 1 dose of dinner.
Okay. But like the selenium is 3 times a day. If I forget it the middle of the day, do I take 2 at night or
No, just don't
okay.
forget it the next day.
Okay. I need to work on the memory here. Okay. All right.
Well, that's why you want to have a checklist. That's why pilots, when they get in the airplane, they have a checklist. So don't forget anything.
Yeah. Good plan. Good plan. All right. Thank you with the cats.
Okay.
And me.
All right. Thank you, Susan. So, Dr. Wallach, even if you take for selenium, perhaps you have 1 for breakfast, you miss your lunch dose, you can have 2 at dinner, right?
Yeah, if you're taking 2 at dinner and 1 at breakfast for 1 day a week, that's fine. But if you're doubling up and tripling up every day, there might be an issue.
Okay. Now let's go to pets and not knowing exactly how much, like these wild feline that she's feeding, not knowing exactly how much they weigh. If we did a scoop and it was more than what is needed per weight, is that going to hurt them?
No.
Okay.
Because the odds are you're not going to give it enough nutrients for a 300-pound lion.
Well, right. And I know for us, when we're nutrient deficient, it takes a little bit extra to help fill that deficiency, right?
Yeah, catch up. That's right.
So, all right. Thank you so much. And then as far as essential fatty acids, so we had a question, what's the difference between the EFA plus and the ultimate EFA?
Okay,
basically, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say they both contain omega-3, 6, and 9. They're just in different forms. So where the EFA plus is more of the omega-3, and like Dr. Wallach said, primarily fish oil, the ultimate omega is coming also from flax and borage oil. So you're getting a nice combination and balance of the different essential fatty acids from different food sources. So, and not all EFAs are created equal.
Yeah, it's always best to get 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 different sources, plants and animals and seeds and all that kind of stuff.
All right. So great questions today. I'm so excited
beautiful.
for all the information that we're sharing. John wants to know if you have a book specifically for young couples before getting pregnant, during pregnancy, and then during your breastfeeding. So there you go, Doc. Book number 5 coming your way. We'll put it on the list. And let's go to HF. HF, I saw your hand here. Did you go away? Oh, I don't see that they have audio connected. But HF had a question in the comments that I'm seeing here. Is alkaline water okay?
And the answer is no.
And the reason
your stomach has to be an acid environment for the stomach acid to work, to be able to digest food, to be able to absorb minerals. The last thing you want to do, because that's probably what happened, is it'll be the last thing you do if you alkalize your stomach. You don't want to do that.
So you want to make sure
if you have a couple of cases of alkaline water, give it to your doctor.
All right. Well, HF, did you have another question in regard or outside of that one? Go ahead and unmute yourself if you did.
Oh, thank you so much, Rebecca. Thank you for answering those questions. But is it 3 EFAs plus for the dosage when you have the brain and heart pack, or is it 1, 3? I'm a little unclear on that, Doc.
Well, it depends on how much you weigh.
I'm at 150.
150, yeah, it'd be 3 EFAs and 3 EFA pluses twice a day.
3 EFAs in the morning and 3 EFAs in the evening.
That's correct. And 3 EFA pluses in the morning and 3 EFA pluses in the evening. Because one comes from seeds, the other one comes from fish liver oil.
Thank you, sir. God bless. Thank you, Rebecca.
You bet.
All right, you're very welcome. Now, Mark has a question. can we or animals get enough EFA from salmon if we eat it twice a week?
Not from eating just the salmon flesh.
Because the EFAs are coming from the liver, right?
The liver, that's correct.
Yeah, I think it's easier to swallow if you have it in a soft gel capsule, personally, but that's just me. Okay, so we have another human question from Shantae. Shantae, did you want to come on? She has a client that's 80 years old, female, diagnosed with vestibular. And that's all the information she had. So I don't know. Shantae,
okay, well, vestibular, that sounds like middle ear stuff. Got to be something going on with balance and tinnitus ringing in the ears. 80 years old, that all makes sense. Okay, so we don't know what she weighs, but for 100 pounds of body weight, need one healthy brain and heart pack. Let's see here, two bottles of the MSM. So you can take 3 at breakfast, 3 at lunch, at dinner. Collagen peptides, a scoop with breakfast, scoop with dinner. Let's see, in the drink. And then also needs vitamin D3, 3 of those twice a day. Needs the collagen peptides. I think I said that. Collagen peptides, a scoop of breakfast, scoop of dinner. And don't forget the Ultimate Daily Classic tablets, 3 twice a day for blood flow. And even I've had people 105, 110 years old have all these terrible stuff going on with dizziness, balance problems, ringing in the ears and stuff going on of all kinds, maybe 15, 20 different problems. And we get them on this program, and within 2 to 6 weeks, it all goes away. We have a book and a CD. In fact, you're my co-author on the CD. It's all in your head. So the book and the CD, it's all in your head. If you buy them together, you get a discount. If you buy them a week apart, you have to pay the full price. So I'd get the set of It's All in Your Head, the book and the CD. It covers 37 different diseases, including the vestibular. As you're talking about the ringing in the ears and balance and dizziness and all that kind of stuff, Bell's palsy, trigeminal neuralgia, getting up 5 times a night to go to the urinate, and all those kind of things, all caused by osteoporosis of the skull. The formula for what to take for the osteoporosis of the skull is in the book. So if you don't hear what we have to say or was not quick enough to write it down, the formula is in the book. It's all in your head, so you have access to that. As long as you have the book, you have access to the formula.
Thank you very much.
You bet.
All right, thank you, Shantae. Great question. Now, John made a comment, Dr. Wallach. He said a flock of parrots stripped his apricot tree. They didn't eat the fruit. They broke open the stones and just ate the seeds. So is it because that there's minerals within the seeds that they were missing, that they were smelling, or what?
Okay, well, a lot of birds eat seeds, but they don't like sweet, fleshy things. Okay, because they've learned if they eat sweet, fleshy things, they get all that juice around their face, and the flies come and jump on them and all that kind of stuff. And so they're interested in the seeds, which have very dense nutrition in it, whereas the sugary flesh of the fruit doesn't.
Okay. And I guess God put that whole instinct in them that forget the flesh, just go for the seed.
That's right. They're seed eaters.
Seed eaters. Since we are on humans, Carrie has a question. So, what do you recommend for people who have already had knee replacement? Her dad's friend, who is 6 foot tall, probably 175 pounds, 83 years old, had one knee replaced that went fine, now having a harder time healing from the second. The wife has had one replaced as well, and they're not coming to her wedding because they can't travel, and they were world travelers.
Mm-hmm.
So what would you recommend for somebody that's already had knee replacement, Doc? Because the knee replacement
don't go back to that same doctor.
Yeah, don't go to the same doctor. But the knee replacement didn't correct the whole cause that they needed.
That's correct. That's correct. In other words, if you have, for instance, your engine's heating up because you're 2 quarts low in oil and you change your tire, does that help you?
No.
Okay, so they need a hair analysis. Let's find out what's going on there. We need to see all the records, all their blood tests, but I guarantee they didn't get a hair analysis. Get a hold of that book, Rare Earths and Cures, chapter 10 and 11, page 272. Get that hair analysis. That's going to help enormously in great detail what needs to be done. Okay.
Okay, and you can get Rare Earths Forbidden Cures on our website, askvetlive.com, and there is a link there that you can get the book. And as Dr. Wallach said, in chapter 10, it has all the information you need in order to get a hair analysis. And Dr. Wallach, the hair analysis is $100. It's been $100 since this book was last published, which it's had what, 10, 11 different reprints? Nope, 9. It's on the 9th printing. So when we print it again, it's going to be the 10th printing. And the price is still $100, folks, since it was last printed in 2018.
Yeah, and you get 2 charts. You get one chart for these essential minerals. You get a second chart for toxic minerals like lead and mercury and uranium and other stuff like that. And so it's really, really very useful. I have so many people who said, oh, yeah, you know, I was in the military for 10 years, for 20 years, and I have all these chemicals from the weapons. We do a hair analysis on them. They don't have any of those dangerous chemicals. It's shocking to them. But what they did have was nutritional deficiencies causing all their symptoms. There you go.
There you go. And Dr. Wallach, you first published this in 1994.
Yes, that's correct.
And the information is still relevant today.
Oh, well, gravity is still true today as it was when the Old Testament was written 3,500 years ago.
Yes.
There's certain things that, that are going to be the same forever. The Earth orbits the sun. In the beginning, people thought that the sun orbited the Earth.
They also thought it was flat.
That's correct.
So I'm glad that it's not flat. Not that I've done a whole lot of traveling. I want to be a world traveler, and I plan on keeping my knees healthy to do so. HF has another question, and she did ask it in the chat here. But go ahead and unmute yourself if you would, please.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I have a customer who has been dealing with a knee issue, has been taking the protocol, but finds that at nighttime when he lays down, he has been doing a lot of information. At nighttime when he lays down, the information goes down, the knee's fine. Wakes up in the morning, the knee, the ankle, the feet is back swollen. Can you give any explanation for that?
Yeah. So basically, this guy's got osteoporosis of the skull, squeezing the spinal cord. And so he's got what's called peripheral neuropathies, all this stuff going on down in the back and the hips and the knees and so forth. These are the sort of guys that wake up 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 10 times a night to urinate. These are the guys that, like I say, when they lay in a certain position, the pain goes away, but in the morning, everything's all swollen and painful when they get up out of bed. But it has to do with the skull squeezing the spinal cord as the skull is coming out of the back of the skull. Most people don't realize it, but your spinal cord is made in the brain, comes out of the back of the skull through a hole called the foramen magnum, which is Latin for big hole. And it causes, I don't know, 20 or 30 different diseases. And you go to 20, 30 different specialists and doctors and surgeries and knee replacements and hip replacements, but all the problem is really up in the skull.
So what would be specific for that?
It's called the Healthy Brain and Heart Pack, okay. MSM, collagen peptides, Beyond OsteoFX, vitamin D3, rebuild the bones and the cartilage and ligaments and tendons in the skull and in the vertebrae. It all goes away.
Thank you, Doc. Thank you so much. Bless you. Thank you, Rebecca.
You're welcome. So folks, it all works together, the whole system. We weren't built in just a part here, a part here that works on its own without the interaction of the other parts. I mean, our circulatory system feeds every single square, even less than millimeter of the body, the nutrients that the body needs at the cellular level. So we want to make sure that we keep our circulation, that's blood and the lymphatic circulation, flowing throughout our body so that we're not getting that congestion. We're not getting those blood clots. We're not cutting off nutrients from different parts of our body because we don't have good circulation. So everything works together, making sure that you're getting your 90 essential nutrients every day. If you've got things going on, it is going to take some extra stuff in order to replenish or correct deficiencies. And one thing that Dr. Wallach found in all of his research on animals is it correlates into the human world also, especially when we're looking at mammal to mammal. Deficiencies for mammals had specific conditions. Deficiencies for humans had a lot of those same conditions of poor health. So being intentional, making sure that we're getting the nutrients that our body needs to function as a whole is so important. We don't want to underestimate the importance of how much the body needs. We are not simple organisms, folks, but health can be simple when you've got the right raw ingredients going in. So Dr. Wallach, I think it's hot where you're at.
Yeah, it's very hot. It's like 82 degrees right now.
82 degrees and probably not a whole lot of air circulation.
I got fans going, but it's just moving the air around.
There you go. Well, that keeps, you've got the whole natural swamp cooler thing going on. You're sweating, get some air flowing, helps cool you off, and make sure that you're drinking lots of fluid with minerals, because that sweat is not just water. It's a supply of minerals.
Rebound.
Yes, I love the powdered Rebound. For those of you who are looking at Rebound as just kind of an energy drink, I love the powdered because it only has 8.5 grams of sugar, where the can not only do you have to open it the day before to let the carbonation, go away. It also has more sugar, but the powder has more nutrients, Dr. Wallach.
Mm-hmm.
So convenience, or you get more. I'll take more, just personally. But we're coming up to the end. And I am so thankful for my co-hosts. I just want to put them up here. And
they are phenomenal. We can't thank them enough.
They kept the chat rolling. They were answering questions, some simple questions that were coming through. They were putting up the answers there for them. And thank you for getting Jaunty up there. Hello, Jaunty. And I want to do a special thank you for Phyllis also, who is part of our team that was providing information, including the number that people can call to speak with Dr. Wallach on the radio during the Dead Doctors Don't Lie radio show. So if you have somebody that is not into Zoom and getting on via Zoom, or this time does not work for them, then if you go to KSCO.com, and you will find under the shows, Dead Doctors Don't Lie, and you will find the information there that they can call into the radio show Monday through Friday from noon to 1 Pacific time. And if you are listening and you want the phone number, real quick, it's 888-379-2552. So the best time to call is early. If you want to get into the program, call as close to noon as absolutely possible, because the phone lines do start to fill up, and you want to make sure that it's like raising your hand. First one there we call on first, right? So as you're getting into that call lineup, make sure that you call in early and have the opportunity to speak with Dr. Wallach on the radio. So you're more than welcome to share that with others. But again, if you were sent to this program or any program by somebody specific, get back with the person that shared that program with you. They cared enough to take the time to share this information with you. And where it is not meant to take the place of your primary care physician, we are not here to diagnose, cure. Our products do not do any of that stuff. But your body was divinely created, that when it's given the raw ingredients that it needs, it can do some amazing stuff, folks. You have been watching Ask Vet Live. Thank you so much for joining us with all of your animal questions. I think we're going to be doing this once a month, aren't we, Jonty? Where we're going to have on the first Friday, Ask Vet Live of the month. So make sure you tell your friends. For those of you who are part of our longevity family, share this program with others, because this is a tool that's put together to help you get information out to your friends and family and community without it just coming from you. We've got the man himself, the man that's been doing the research, who has written the books, so many books already written, already published, and more to come, folks. So stay tuned. We're so excited. Hope you all have a fabulous September. Bye for now.
Bye. Thank you.